Well, good morning, University Bible Church. It's Wednesday, May 13th. The psalm for today is Psalm 57. It's yet another lament, and yet another one from David's life. In this case, is he's hiding from Saul. He's fleeing from Saul in a cave, and he does cry out to God for mercy. He does describe the way his enemies are against him, and yet what I think is remarkable in this psalm is the way he repeatedly calls for God to be exalted, for God to be glorified. And of course, it's not adding anything objectively to God's glory, but he's asking that people would see it and would recognize God's glory. And so even when he would maybe, it'd be understandable to have a focus just on his own safety and security, and that's clearly in mind as he's asking for God to be merciful. His focus still is on God's glory, and he's urging his own heart to be steadfast in him. He's reflecting in verse 10 on God's steadfast love, but again, it's the repeated refrain from verses 5 and 10, calling for God to be exalted and God's name to be glorified. How would that reframe our own suffering when we pray not merely for provision or for deliverance or justice or those things that are good to ask for, fine to ask for, but we also say, God, would you be glorified through this? Would your name be exalted through this experience? All right, God bless. Have a good day.